And we should be live now. Starting just a couple minutes early. Let people join. Let's make sure I've got this tab muted. Mute tab. There we go. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Techie Tuesdays. This is a live stream, so if you are watching this after it's been live streamed, any questions you have, you can enter in the comments below. However, you can also get in contact with us at info@cybervigilance.uk, and you can also add me on LinkedIn in the description below. So as you can see by the title, RedCap Trojan Analysis using SentinelOne. RedCap, I don't want to get it confused with Redline, which is a popular information stealer. RedCap Trojan Analysis will specifically be analyzing where it comes from, why the malware is used, some funny points about how it's actually infecting hackers as well, or wannabe hackers. They're called skids in that community. Skids meaning script kiddies, because they don't know how to use the scripts or the malware themselves, so they end up getting infected in this case. I just want to quickly run through what the situation is with the VMs and how I'm testing it. So this is a test SentinelOne environment. I'll be running on this desktop 821. It's just a simple Windows VM, nothing special about it. The VM is currently running in Zen Orchestra, and you can see SentinelOne is installed and running. I'm in Daniel demo group, which the policy is just simply detect. Just double check the stream is public. Yep, that's all good. By the way, if you have any questions, guys, just send it in the chat. We'll be able to respond to it during the video. So yeah, in detect. All detection engines are on. I don't have any automatic protect level 1. All the deep visibility features are coming through. I don't have data masking or focus file monitoring on. And yeah, that's everything. Now, a quick sneak peek into a new potential Techie Tuesdays that's coming out soon. You can see there's a new tab here called Identity. This is only for test EA environments or early access environments. You won't see this on a general access environment. So this is something to look out for. I'll be learning a bit more about this afternoon with the SentinelOne team. So let's get straight into it then. So no current running threats on my device at the moment. Now, where is RedCap found? RedCap is found on, personally, I have found it myself on, whilst I was trying to find malware to test SentinelOne with. It was quite ironic. I was trying to install one type of malware from a site called Anon Files, which is a popular anonymous file sharing site used by threat actors around the world and wannabe hackers, stuff like that. It's also used by people who want to leak private or public databases or information stealing. It's quite strange because initially I thought that it might have been like a government honeypot to catch people out. However, I now don't think it's a government honeypot anymore because I actually have found out how they likely make money, and it's to do with advertising. And the advertising that they get is from people wanting the advertisers wanting redirects to malware, and that malware I have found is RedCap Trojan. And this is quite a recent thing. So a few months ago, I actually installed malware on purpose from Anon Files, and it wasn't RedCap, it was something else. But recently it's RedCap, so it seems like they've got quite a few people paying for adverts here and there. So let's go on to Anon Files. I'm just going to search it up. I wouldn't recommend using Anon Files at all. Don't trust the site at all. But you can see that if you type in Anon Files, you've got download.zip. I'm not going to open this zip file. I don't know what's inside of it. I wouldn't recommend it either. It's just simply for the threat testing purposes. So you can see there's a sort of like a download here, and last time I pressed it, it gave me a malicious file. What it did is it did download.zip.exe, and it opened up a separate tab which looked exactly the same as Anon Files, but it was actually just an advert. So let's just press it. There you go, download.zip.exe. So it's actually loading both of them at the same time. So I'm going to cancel the actual file. You can see that this has got the image of like an MSI Microsoft installer file. SentinelOne is blowing up at the moment. You can see my device is infected. Let's go into incidents. Sorry, download.zip.exe and f_0000439. So one quick thing, Limestone Digital Limited. This isn't from Limestone themselves. I've looked up this company, and they do hand out these signatures, so it looks like they're being used by threat actors to sign their portable executables, looking to evade generic antiviruses. However, things like SentinelOne, EDR, any top-line EDR will be able to detect that this is malicious anyway, even if it's signed. And make sure you do not make an exclusion for a signer identity exclusion for Limestone Digital Limited, because they just hand out they just seem to hand out these signed binaries, not the binaries, the signatures. So yeah, you can see it's detection type static. I haven't ran anything yet, and I'll show you a really interesting persistence mechanism once this is ran. I'll quickly have a check of the chat. That's all good. So let's view it in VirusTotal. This is how I found out the name for this malware specifically. I mean, it says BroDrop here, but you can see some of it called RedCap. Different vendors have different names for it. But you can see it's got loads of different things. It's got detect debug environment, so it's probably using WinAPI is debugger present. You can patch that out if you know reverse engineering. It's super easy to do. Checks network adapters, just enumerating where it is within inside the network. Long sleeps, this is to basically play the waiting game with generic bad AVs. Because AVs will basically give up if it sleeps for too long within each of its functions. Direct CPU clock access. This is probably to do with whether it's querying whether it's inside of a VM. I think it might be a 64-bit. It might be 64-bit. I'm not too sure. Let's have a look. Let's go into details. So I'm not entirely sure. So I can't confirm for sure. Just say Win32, but I'm not entirely sure myself. Oh, it says 32-bit, so it's probably not. But I know in 64-bit binaries you can when it has direct CPU clock access, it can detect whether it's inside of a virtual machine without looking at the elements of a virtual machine, like whether it has a GPU or not, whether its network adapters are named like VMware, Zen, stuff like that. And then you've got calls WMI and persistence, but it doesn't say the persistence, and I don't want to reveal it just yet because I think it's quite interesting. So the worst thing to do in this scenario is to run it, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. You can see it's also hiding the extension. Now that's a dynamic detection. Now here's when it asks for administrator. This is a point where you have no return unless you do rollback on SentinelOne. So I have rollback enabled. I'm going to do a rollback once this threat has finished running. So go yes. And this is still malware. This is still malware, and you can see threat detected. It might restart Edge. I think that's what I had last time. Let's go back into our SentinelOne console. Chrome install, Edge install. So it seems to be installing something onto Chrome and Edge. I think this download.zip.exe is a dynamic detection. Indirect commands, suspicious process is packed. Registers itself to become persistent via scheduled tasks. So that's just the default for persistence. I'm not too sure what the malware itself will actually drop. It might be dead malware, like the C2 server's down because it might be old. However, you can see that it seems to be dropping these EXEs into my device. So let's have a look on virus total. I just want to have a look at these specific binaries. Again, it's bro drop. So it is 64-bit, so it seems like this is some sort of anti-VM mechanism, but for me, it hasn't actually done anything. So let's go back and just straight away, do you notice anything different besides the really laggy, bloated Microsoft Edge background? Let's just go on to Bing quickly, because that background is very slow. I don't have a GPU on this VM. So you can notice that, what is this? What is this apps add-on that's been added? Let's go into it. It has access to this site, it says. It can read and change site data. SentinelOne is still panicking. Let's go to Manage Extension. Now it can read and change all your data on all websites. So this is the persistence mechanism. And the problem is, it's not just scheduled tasks, but it's also a browser add-on, and it's likely stealing absolutely everything from your browser that you're using. It has no additional site access, but it can just read absolutely everything and change all of your data. So let's have a look. Looks to be the exact same. Again, it keeps on dropping it. I'm not too sure why it's doing that. But it also says your browser is managed by your organization. This isn't something that I actually enabled myself. So it seems to be this is now managing my browser. It says added by your organization. That is not what I intended it to do. And this can be very, very tricky to remove if you don't know what you're doing. However, SentinelOne makes it super easy. All you need to do is a roll back to the last safe state. Yeah, it's just not good at all. Not good. And I can see that this is likely how AnonFiles.com makes their money, by selling these malvertising installs. So let's mitigate these threats, because if this happened in an actual corporate environment, this could be catastrophe. So let's select all of the threats in my current scope. It's only on one endpoint. Let's do threat actions. Mitigation action, I'm going to do rollback. So it's going to kill the current process. It's going to quarantine the originating file. It's going to remediate and reverse the changes to system files created by the threats. And it's going to roll back to the last safe state of the device using Visual Shadow Copy Service. So this mark was resolved, true positive, press apply. Straight away you can see the device has been grayed out. The status of the mitigation still says not mitigated. However, the device itself is actually safe. You can see it's closed down Edge, so it likely Trojanized Edge itself. However, we're just going to wait it out, and we're going to see that the add-on has actually been removed. But if you accidentally do end up installing RedCap by accident and you have SentinelOne installed, don't just rely on SentinelOne for the rollback. You still need to change your passwords, change your information, make sure if you have any credit cards on your device, which you should not have at all if it's in plain text. Never, never, never in plain text locally on the machine. Definitely contact the bank or your card provider to say that you potentially could be a victim of fraud at some point. Yeah, so don't install stuff from Anon Files, because you don't know what you're installing. It's a really grey area, shady business. The name itself, Anon Files, is not something that you want to be dealing with, especially in a corporate environment. And it's also advertising malware. So, what have we learned today? Don't install stuff from Anon Files. SentinelOne can deal with this threat. It's not super advanced, but the persistence mechanism of browser add-ons is something interesting to look out for. So if you enjoyed this week's episode of Techie Tuesdays, give it a like. You can subscribe to us. If you want to get in contact with us for a SentinelOne demo or a proof of concept, you can get in contact with us at info@cybervigilance.uk. And my LinkedIn is in the bio below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you